is going on YouTube? It's your host again, back here with another episode of The Road to Spider-Man Far From Home. And today I wanted to talk about, well, just so you guys know, this is gonna be pretty much the how do I put this, the episode before I go watch Far From Home, because I'm probably gonna watch it, sometime, maybe like next week, I don't know. But all I can say is that I'm going to see Far From Home. This is the episode before I go, see the movie. And you're not going to see another episode of this series. Well, you're watching one right now, but you're not going to see an episode after this episode until I watched the movie. And then the review will come out, which, yes, the review will also be part of the the Road to Spider-Man Far From Home series. But today I wanted to talk about a topic that hasn't really been talked about a lot, and I know this is where my tongue stops working. I'm sorry, but I'm here. I know that Far From Home has already been released, and I haven't watched it yet, so please don't put any spoilers in the comments. So because I haven't watched it yet, but so I wanted to talk about the future of the Spider-Man series, and because we're now 2 movies in, and who knows, maybe Marvel might make a trilogy. Speaking of trilogies, that's what we're here to talk about. About there's going to be a third installment. Personally, now that critics have praised this movie, because from what I've heard, it's a great movie. It's not better than Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which I'm not surprised, because no Spider-Man movie's gonna beat that movie. It's not gonna beat that movie. Speaking of Spider-Verse, I really need to get a review, because there's a lot to talk about in that movie. But even though everybody has talked about it, so there's not really anything to say about that movie. But I'll save that for a review, for that review of Into the Spider-Verse. But do I think that there's going to be a third installment? Probably, because the 2 movie, Homecoming and Far From Home, were pretty much critically, because we don't know how much more money Far From Home is going to make, but critically it's just as good as Homecoming, and from what I've heard, even better. So yeah, there's probably going to be a third installment. And there's 2 post-credit scenes in the movie, from what I've heard, that are gonna tie into the future of Phase 4. So, since those post-credit scenes are pretty important, I guess, there's gonna be a third installment. I really hope that there's a third installment, because, first of all, Tom Holland as Spider-Man is pretty great, and they're probably gonna head into the Sinister Six, move on these movies, but it would be kind of early to introduce the Sinister Six, in my opinion. So I would rather have another movie, with Spider-Man fighting another villain instead of the Sinister Six, because at this point I think it's too early to introduce them. Then again, it they were gonna introduce the Sinister Six and the Amazing Spider-Man 3 before it got canceled. So so it could happen, but for me it would be too early. Maybe save them for like the fifth installment, or like this, like the final installment in the Spider-Man series. So yeah, and 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 you might be wondering, well, what do I think the third installment is going to be about? Personally, I don't know. I don't really know. They could take this series anywhere. They could bring new villains. Maybe they could introduce the Black Suit. But then again, let's just hope that it doesn't end up like in Spider-Man 3, because we all know we all know what happened in that movie. So there's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to say about because we all know what happened in Spider-Man 3. We all know. And as much as we all know what happened to it, we wish we would have forgotten it by this point. But yeah, maybe they could introduce a new villain. Heck, even new villains like in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, where they introduced overall, well, there's Green Goblin, Electro, and Rhino. yeah, pretty much 3 villains, not including the Sinister Six Easter eggs. Well, they're not really Easter eggs because you can clearly see Doctor Octopus's arms, Steve Ultra's wings. They're not really Easter eggs because you can easily spot them without. But yeah, pretty much that's they. There's a big possibility of a third installment happening. In the MCU, a third installment of the Spider-Man series. That's what I mean. Maybe they could introduce Miles Morales in the third installment, or maybe they already introduced him in Far From Home. Because if they do, they could maybe Miles could have a bigger role in the third installment. But if they don't, maybe they could finally introduce Miles in the third installment. But so yeah, this is really all I wanted to talk about. If there's gonna be a third installment, me personally, I do. There's a pretty there's a pretty big possibility that what am I saying? There is a high chance of a third installment happening, in the Spider-Man series so far because all 2 movies were great. Let's just hope it. Let's just hope that it's not going to be another Spider-Man 3 because we we don't want to see another emo dancing scene. Please, not another one. But yeah, that's really all I wanted to talk about. So yeah, I'll make sure I'll I'll have a good time watching this movie because from what I've heard, because all from what I've heard positive reactions. Not really a lot of I haven't because I've only seen one review of it, but overall everybody has a positive reaction to this movie. So can't wait to see it. And so yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And stay tuned for that review of Spider-Man Far From Home. I'll try to make more videos for you guys, and pretty much because I've been a little bit busy at home. Sorry for not uploading a lot. And so, yeah, blow up the like button, and I'll see you later, webheads.